first of all, I just wanted to say thanks very much for coming to listen to me. I fully appreciate that this is a huge event with so much to see and do here, and really it's fascinating seeing how Man v Fat football fits into this, because the first and most important thing to say is that I am not of the football world. I don't have a football background. I'm a Stoke fan, so that probably tells you as much as you need to know about football and my knowledge of football. But it's really interesting to see some of the incredible things that are happening in football, and to see how they're engaging in a similar sort of journey to the one that we're trying to take, which is to use football to engage men and to support them with their health journeys. So I'll start by saying, I'm Andrew Shanahan. I am the founder of Man v Fat Football. And I thought it would be important for us all to consider the essential question: why would you listen to me today? And the first and most important thing probably is to explain that I'm terrible at football. Personally, I've loved football since I could first kick a ball, but that never actually translated into any skill, which any of the players from the Manchester League, give us a wave, guys, yeah. They'll all testament to the fact that I'm not particularly good. And I think that actually not being good at football did translate into having that sort of strange love affair with football, because I couldn't do it. It was something that I was really extra passionate about. Something that I do know a little bit more about, though, is losing weight, and the struggle personally that I had in terms of losing weight. That's a photo of me just polishing off a 15th glass of wine and something else that I'm eating, probably a lump of cheese, knowing me. And that was when I was at least 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And through losing weight, I really did, it's a horrible modern word, but I went on a journey. And the journey that I went on was that I started to understand the level of support that's out there for men currently. And the truth is that there genuinely is very, very little support out there for men. You know, there are commercial weight loss organisations, but they are so focused on the female market that it often becomes quite off-putting to be involved in them. And this is a true story. This Man v Fat more or less came into existence when I went to Weight Watchers, and on one particular week the leader was talking about, when you've got your periods, your weight will fluctuate, and don't be afraid, if you put on a pound during that time of the month. And I was thinking, that just isn't my problem. if and when I get my period, I'm going to go to a hospital. So that was something that was really difficult for me to actually engage with in terms of losing weight. And really, it was the start of a journey about saying, well, why isn't there anything for men? What should there be for men? And Man v Fat was born out of a crowdfunding campaign that we did. And very quickly, we raised 102% of our target, and it provided the funds for launching Man v Fat as a platform for supporting men. And from that point, it's really grown phenomenally quickly, and the reason is because there is such a demand. We'll go into a little bit about the statistics about weight loss and how big an issue this is for men across the world. But it's such a big issue that very quickly, the Man v Fat football scheme became a valid thing. It started to exist, but also the website went from having 50 people on it per day to now we have around about 3,000 people a day on it, and we have about 1.5 million people involved in both the forum, the website, and the schemes. And that huge growth has been mimicked by Man v Fat Football, which launched in 2016 in January. In that initial league, we had 80 places that were available, and we had just under 1,000 applications for those places. And that really gave us a sense of the demand that was out there for this as an idea and this as a product. We now have 35 leagues, including in Manchester, where we're having to launch another league as well to cater for the demand. We now have 4,500 players who between them have lost nearly 50 tons in weight. And that's not just a headline figure. The guys are here, and it's well worth grabbing all of them at some point just to talk to them about the amount of weight that they've lost individually. There are guys here who've lost 25, 30 kilos since they started Man v Fat Football, which might be anywhere up to 20 or 30% of their body weight. These are the sorts of weight losses which are changing lives. they're impacting on in terms of illnesses, but they're generally just making lives happier. And I think that that's one of the amazing things that we've seen. I didn't want to rabbit on all the time, so I thought I would give the players some chance to talk as well. And we've got some interviews filmed with some of the players at an event that we do every year at St George's Park as part of our association with the FA. They let us take over St George's Park every year, and these are some of the players that we spoke to.
Yeah, I'm Andy Gallen. I'm from Birmingham and I play in the Fox Hollies League. A friend saw it online. I'd thought about getting fit and losing, so I was 20 stone at the time. So I entered the league. You get that camaraderie between your teammates. It's that loyalty that you don't want to let any of your team down by not losing weight. So started turning up the weight, started falling off. 3.5 seasons later, I'm just over 6 stone down. And able to put shifting in the pitch the first week, 5 minutes, and I was dragging myself off because I could hardly stand. So the difference in 12 months is amazing. One of the things that made me get into Man v Fat is I just had my son was about 1 at the time. I was struggling to play with him. He was just starting to crawl, getting up off the floor, losing both hands on my knees just to get up, aching if I ever did any walking. It was just couldn't do anything. The difference now, I can go and play in the garden with him, I can throw him around. It's just a different life, and the confidence it gives me at work just means I'm better in larger groups. I'm not making jokes all the time to try and hide the fact that I'm the fat guy in the room. So it just changes everything in your life personally, and fitness, and I might not die when I'm 40 of a heart attack. I might actually live to a ripe old age. It's a massive difference really.
So Andy's point there is really interesting. It's not just about potentially giving him a longer life. It's about making that life more enjoyable while he's here as well. There's 3 questions that I really wanted to work through today. The first is, why does Man v Fat football need to exist? The second is, how does Man v Fat football work? And the third is, we're at one of the largest soccer exhibitions in the world here today. Obviously, there are people who are connected with the soccer industry and the football industry across the world. And we work in partnership with all sorts of different organisations, and we want to have those conversations. We're at a stand just over there. We're happy to talk to people today. And it's really about starting to have those conversations. So why does Man v Fat football need to exist? And I think, from a personal point of view, I touched on the fact that it was very difficult for me personally to find support out there for weight loss. It wasn't something that was really a conversation that we could have. Dan Cooper, who's another of the players who's going to talk to you now, he's got other sort of ideas about why it needs to exist. So I'll pass to Dan.
Dan Cooper from Stoke-on-Trent, play for Rail Fatrid. I saw the scheme on the Stoke City forum on the internet, looked into it and thought it sounded pretty good, so signed up on my own with no mates or anything who signed up with me. And we just got put in a team, and then from there we just sort of supported each other through it. Since signing up, I've lost just over 4 stone. So, started off in the obese category on the BMI chart, and now I'm getting pretty close to the ideal weight. Before Man vs Fat, I did no exercise, hardly ever. A few little walks, but that was it. I'd eat takeaways twice a week, junk food at work. Since then, I eat whole foods, good foods. I still have 1 day a week where I eat pretty much what I want, but at a sensible level, not the quantities I was having before. So I don't miss anything, but it's just working, and it's something which I can maintain for a long time, not just a fad diet.
So Dan's point there, I think, is really typical of the conversations that we have with men across the country. And it's around the fact that there is very little provision for men who love football, want to play football, but there's very little ways back into football if perhaps you got injured during your playing days and there's been a break, and during that break you've potentially put on some weight. It's not a welcoming environment to go down to a local commercial football provider, for example, and try and get involved in a team. I have been in that situation, and I know that the vast majority of players that I was sort of put alongside were a third of my size, at least 3 times as quick, and I was just chasing shadows around the pitch. And so Man v Fat football is about a level playing field that players can get together on. And I think also the important thing as well is that because it has the weight loss element engaged in it as well, it has a really different atmosphere across the leagues. A lot of the sort of the power league, the leisure leagues are, they're very ultra competitive, and we're competitive on Man v Fat Football, but at the same time we're all aware that there is another reason why we're there. We all want to achieve something in terms of weight loss and in terms of improving our health, and I think that makes for a really, really fantastic environment and atmosphere. Despite the booing that I received from my fellow players today, they do love me, really. I thought I would ask a couple of questions and see if everyone could see, if you could shout out any answers. I've seen a few weight loss professionals in the audience as well, so perhaps they shouldn't answer. But does anyone know what percentage of men in the UK are overweight or obese? Any guesses? Do you want to have a guess? Yeah. 50. 50 is a good guess. 60? Any advance on 60? 72. You'll get the prize because it's closest. It's 68. So essentially, 68% of people, so nearly 7 out of 10 in the UK male population are overweight or obese. Now, people often talk to me about Man v Fat Football serving a niche. And I tend to think, well, a niche is the smaller part of a market. And actually, 7 out of 10 represents the far larger market as a whole. This is the majority of people, in terms of the male market, need to be catered for in this way. What percentage of men are currently inactive? Go on, Rich, you can do this one. 30% is a good guess. Dan? More Stooges? Any guess? 45. It's actually 24%, but that's it's a very narrow definition of what inactive constitutes. So essentially, what we see as inactive in that case of 24% of men is that they barely move from the sofa at all. What percentage of men want to lose weight? Go on, Josh. What's your guess? 80. 75, 80%. Okay, from the 7 out of 10 guys, from there, it's actually around about 40 to 60% say that they want to lose weight. But this sort of throws up an issue around weight loss and men, which is that men don't often talk about health in terms of weight loss. What they talk about is getting fit. They talk about getting healthy. And actually, what they mean within that is that they want to lose weight. But the way that they phrase that is that they say they want to get fit, which is why often when men sort of look at weight loss programs, they end up joining a gym. And anyone who's actually joined a gym to try and lose weight will testify that it's next to no use whatsoever, because what they want you to do is use the machines and with those incredibly inflated calorie estimations of what you've burnt off after 5 minutes of walking up a slight incline. And it's not really a relevant place to talk about losing weight, because losing weight is mostly about what you eat. So if your gym is not talking to you about what you eat and about helping you monitor your food and your drink intake, then it's really only addressing the activity element of things. Little bit of bragging here. What percentage of men lose weight when joining our leagues? 100. Very close. 95%. So 95% of players will lose weight. And in large part, that's because we've created a situation where men can support each other to lose weight, so it's an effective system. But the other thing as well is that the scoring system handicaps people who gain weight on the leagues. So no one wants to be in that situation where they've joined a league and that they've helped their team to lose by gaining weight. So it really does focus the mind. What percentage of men on the leagues report health improvements? Any guesses? The back, sir? 100, again, very ambitious, 93%. So 93%, and we're talking about, we've got stories, it was amazing seeing the AFL Trust talking about some of the health improvements that they see across the schemes, and we see very similar results. We see people reversing diabetes, being diagnosed with diabetes and then going back for a checkup and then being told that, well, we can't detect diabetes anymore. We've got players who are talking about mental health improvements, which is obviously a phenomenally important element of health improvement as a whole. And obviously, physical activity increases hugely. I'm going to pass over to, what am I going to do next? Another player. So this is just a good idea about how Man v Fat Football works as a whole. It's a short video that explains that.
Man v Fat Football is a unique football league for overweight men that helps you lose fat and get fit, regardless of how long it's been since you last played.
Your weight loss each week counts towards your performance against the other team. So you'll earn goals by losing the weight.
You can join on your own or with friends, and everyone is in the same situation as you.
Once you've achieved your goals, there's always somebody who can help you afterwards as well.
95% of players are losing weight on the Man v Fat Football leagues, and 93% report health improvements.
It's basically like a group for like-minded people who are just out to lose a bit of weight and have a bit of fun.
If you're a normal bloke who loves football, looking for a way to lose weight, head to manvfat.com/football and register for free now.
So that's sort of a brief overview with a really annoying voiceover, I've just realised. But some of the things that make Man v Fat Football work, I think one is the scoring system that we use. So all of the players before they play are weighed in. And when they weigh in, the reason that we do that before the game is so that they can earn their team weight loss goal bonuses as a result of their weight and their weight loss during that week. They also join and we put them together as teams. You know, a couple of the players who've spoken talked about joining on their own. And that's really important, that players feel welcomed to do that, and I think we've done a good job of making sure that the teams that are put together, they really do interact really well, and I think again that goes back to the fact that there's a shared goal between them. They all want to achieve that same thing of losing weight and getting healthier and getting back into football. And I think one of the biggest things and the biggest advantages that we have is going back to this 1.5 million men who are on the website and the forum per year. You know, that provides us with an absolutely unprecedented pool of information that we are constantly using. We're constantly speaking to those guys about how they lose weight, how they want support in losing weight. And it's that first-hand feedback. You know, I've been there myself, but it's also getting that feedback from players and getting feedback from the forum users and from the website readers to really understand how we can best support them to lose weight and achieve their goals. Finally, I just wanted to touch on how Man v Fat Football works with partners. We've got two key partners who are the FA and Sport England. The FA have supported us since we began, and I think it was because they saw what it was that we were doing and how effective it was. And you know, they've been through our statistics and our claims with a fine-tooth comb and verified everything that we're doing. And really that official endorsement is really powerful for us because it opens doors. It means that we can have activities at St George's Park and things like that. Sport England, this is something of a Soccerex exclusive, have recently funded Man v Fat Football so that we can bring leagues across the country. And that's fantastic because it means that we can bring free leagues across the country so that we can help players join the first season for free, really get on the road to getting fitter and getting healthier. And across the different areas of football, you know, I mean, you can see as you walk around what a massive industry football is turning into. And we have partners in different areas. You know, very important are the clubs themselves. We work with a number of different clubs from Premier League right down to the lower reaches of the AFL. And we really we value those partnerships because, as they were making the point from the EFL Trust earlier, they really do have a fantastic reach into their local communities. And it's by working with us and exploiting those links that they've got with their local communities that we can really help to get those men onto the schemes. Typically, you know, we have 80 men in a league, and so far, you know, we're finding recruiting for those leagues very easy, which we hope continues for a long time. We want to expand what we're doing in connection with the local partners, and the key here is really about who are passionate about what they do. You know, we are driven by the fact that I am still very much connected with how I felt when I was obese. I felt a huge lack of confidence. I felt that I was personally, it made my relationships more difficult, it made my career more difficult, I believe, and it was really from that really still informs what we're doing. We want to support men. Maybe not all men will feel the same way that I did, and that's fine. But for those people who do feel that way, we really want to bring support to them and bring them the opportunity to get back into the game that we all love. I'm going to give one final word to one of our players.
My name's John. This is Billy.
Oh, I'm Kate.
We're from Taunton. I played for Bridgewater Man vs Fat League. It's been about 6 weeks ago now. Started about 6 weeks, so still fairly new to it, but enjoying it. I love playing football, and I've not played for years and years, and I didn't think I'd be playing again, but I saw an advert for the Man vs Fat League on Facebook, and I thought I'd just sign up for it and not look back since. It's been really good.
Although you're happy anyway, you've definitely been happier and definitely in yourself, and that obviously shows with the family as well then. It's a knock-on effect, definitely.
It was a bit daunting for me to sign up because I didn't know anyone playing for it, and I thought I'd just go for it. And it's a really nice group of lads. Like I said, they're all there for the same thing, all trying to lose weight and play football. So yeah, if you're in two minds, just go for it.
I want to thank you very much for listening to this talk today. There's 100 different ways that you can contact me, or you can follow what Man v Fat Football is doing across the leagues. As I said, we've got a number of stooges in the audience here from the Manchester Man v Fat Football League, and I'm 99% sure that most of them will tell you about their experience. I'm not sure what they'll say, but it'll be interesting anyway. Anyway, thank you very much for your time today.